champion.
Good, Alexis? Yep. All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:30. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion for the acceptance of the agenda, please? Kevin, second, Alicia. Any questions? All in favor? Thanks. Is there anybody for public forum? Okay. I need a motion for the acceptance of the consensus agenda. Alicia? Heidi? Any questions? All in favor? And we have presentations, so we got, are we going in that order? John, you're first?
We're gonna do Kyle first. 'Cause he has-
Okay, Kyle first, okay. Then I can do what Kyle wants.
I have a, you want a clicker?
Sure.
That's the right way. I think, go to the next slide,
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Kyle.
Before I start, just to let you know what you have in front of you is our most popular meal here at the Tonic Hills. It is our sesame chicken. The students refer to that as our Chinese chicken meal. It is by far our most popular meal. Goes on once a month, and if I ever don't serve it, I'm sure I'll be running here with pitchforks. So our presentation today, we're just going to touch on a few different topics, challenges heading into this year, highlights from this year, priorities for the remainder of this year, and goals for next year. Challenges heading into this year. This year is my first year here. Thank you so much for having me here. It has been a pleasure so far. I'm really enjoying myself. In my first year, some of my goals will be present in both kitchens. I do my best to be present in both kitchens at least twice a day. Once in the morning, once in the afternoon is breakfast and lunch are going out. Same thing at the cafes. I'm trying to get into the cafeterias at least once a day to make around during lunch, interact with the students. Hear the good and the bad, mostly good. And then creating a positive culture, playing some music in the kitchen, telling jokes, having a good time. It's been really important to me that the staff are happy and healthy and are having a good time. Something else I've faced coming into this year is menu fatigue. It has been the same menu, give or take 5+ years. So it was important to me to come in and put on some new menu items. One of the things that I started doing right off the bat was Meatless Mondays. It's not every Monday, it's every other Monday, give or take. And it's nothing crazy. It could be mozzarella sticks, it could be basso sticks. At the beginning of the year, we did a meatless chili mac. We got try-day stickers, so if they tried the new item, they got a sticker with their meal. It was a big hit, especially with the younger kids. And then we went ahead and updated the salad and sandwich bar as well. With the menu fatigue also came decreased participation, or at least low participation in my opinion. So in order to increase participation, we went ahead and did some marketing and promotion with posters made up on Canva, posting them around the school and social media on Facebook. Thank you, Alexis, for getting those out. Just listening to the students and staff. Their input has been priceless throughout this year. And we also went ahead and updated the breakfast menu as coming into the year. I noticed our breakfast numbers were significantly lower than our lunch numbers, so I wanted to boost those up a bit. These are our new salad and sandwich bar. We have 3 standard salads on our salad menu: the garden salad, a Titan salad, which is a chef salad, and a Caesar salad. The Caesar salad by far is our most popular salad. They love the fresh chicken on it. I was unprepared to know exactly how many of those I was going to sell. And I'll tell you, the second week I had it on, I had to buy 3 more cases of chicken just to get through that. With the sandwich bar, we also went through and just did a small update on that, but just laid out what they can have on their sandwiches. The update for the breakfast was mainly targeted for the high school. Our participation at the elementary is pretty good. It was the high school that I really wanted to focus on to increase that participation. So we laid out a 5-day plan of what they would get on a given day. If there's leftover maple waffles, we'll also put them out on Wednesday as well, so it's not limited just to that day. And then they always have available these items as well. One of the other challenges I faced coming in was a decreased budget. Year over year, the last few years, the budget for the cafeteria has declined. So in order to combat that, I began utilizing Favors, fresh fruit and vegetable. It is a program through the government. There was money already put aside for that, and it helps me bring in broccoli, like what you have in front of you. We've also been using that to get fresher vegetables in and learn new techniques, like roasting the vegetables instead of just steaming them. And then whenever they become available, there's actually some available today that I applied for, bonus entitlement foods from the USDA. We've been awarded a few cases of chicken, frozen vegetables, fresh fruit, frozen cup. There's another round put out today, so I went ahead and applied for that. We'll see what I get from that. Challenges with our staffing this year. Several of my staff faced challenges in their personal lives, which made it difficult for them to be in, whether it was a partner facing cancer or a partner facing Alzheimer's. My staff had a lot of challenges at home. We did hire multiple substitutes. I'm sure you all saw that on the minutes throughout the year. We have one on the minutes today. And I do have at least one retiring staff member that we'll have to fill that position for next year. Highlights from this year, scratch cooking. We tried to do as much scratch cooking as possible. It was teaching the cooks new techniques, procedures, and we went ahead and did our first 100% scratch meal, which went over super well. We did chicken cordon bleu from scratch.
Oh, wow.
Former New York State chicken breast, pounded thin, rolled up with ham and provolone, breaded and baked. Let me tell you, that was a challenge. But it was a challenge that my cooks asked for. They came to me and said, this is what we want to do. I even pushed back and said, well, let's try something that may be a little bit easier. Nope, we're doing this. It was a huge success. Between the fresh mashed potato, the fresh vegetable, it went over really, really well. We had some guest servers this year. Towards the beginning of the year, some of yourselves were brought in and you helped me serve the holiday meals. Thank you so much for everyone who participated in that. And throughout the year, we've also had administrators come into the kitchen to serve the meal that you are all enjoying right now. It has been a pleasure having the administrators come in. It's great for them to see the students in a different capacity. It's great for the students to see them in a different capacity. So this is from our Thanksgiving meal. And the meal you're enjoying now is when I don't have any photos to go with this one. They were pretty shy about their photos being taken in the kitchen, but we had 4 BOCES students come in. They were in their culinary program. Each came in for about a week and helped us prep food, store food, put things away, take in deliveries, just about top to bottom. They didn't feel super comfortable serving their peers, but they went down to the elementary side and served the younger kids, and they had a great time with that as well. Events that we've gotten through this year, the Science Symposium. This was the first year the Science Symposium changed to Comic Hills, and the events coordinator said that they were very thrilled with what we did. It's pretty simple, just sandwiches and salad and potato chips, but it was displayed very nicely and they were very happy with what we got done. The All County Music Festival was hosted here as well this year. Simple fare, but the students were super respectful and they were awesome to have here. They were happy with our meals as well. We did an E&L holiday meal, a turkey meal, and we had some other events go on. Just recently we did a movie night. We got chips with dip, churros, popcorn. They had a great night watching Encanto. One of the fun things I got done this year as well is a senior choice meal. We surveyed the senior class and asked them what they would like to have, and we were going to implement this meal district-wide. Everyone got to have it. They went ahead and chose their 4 options. They went ahead and surveyed the class with the help of Ms. Shook in the library. And they went and chose boneless wings. And that'll be served a little later next month. We'll do some different dipping sauces with that. I'm very excited for that. And that'll be served later in May. Some more highlights from this year, touching on the marketing. We made some posters. We put it up on social media. Word of mouth was huge. By the time that first line came through the cafeteria, I'd be getting the second line coming in. What's for lunch? I heard it was great. So just some examples of some posters that we went and made. The popcorn chicken bowl was a huge hit. The elementary side, we would serve it separately, but the high school side, it all kind of went together. Baked potato bar we did just recently. I enjoyed the loaded fries, but they all really enjoyed the Southwest chicken sandwich, which is a nice piece of chicken with a Chipotle ranch, some pickles on it, and some tater tots. Can't go wrong. The chili con carne was a fun one. It's Southwest tradition is to serve it over a cinnamon roll. If you've never tried that, you might want to give it a shot. So some figures for us to look at. The darker number is this year. You'll see that the lighter number is this year. You'll see that only 2 months, and this is the breakfast numbers, only 2 months were behind last year. That was September. In September, we faced the challenge that the students had to enter their PIN numbers every single time they got a meal. They were not used to that. It was more grab and go last year. So that we had some difficulty with, but we did overcome that. And then in January, our breakfast numbers were pretty low as well, but we were talking 2-hour delays. We had some attendance problems in that month as well. So all the numbers make sense to me. So it was an increase of approximately 400 breakfasts a month, which is, to me, a great increase, and I'd like to see that continuing. And that increase definitely came around the time that we revamped the high school breakfast menu. And these are the lunch numbers. The blue line is this year, 20 meals, but we had less serving days this December. So if we had that extra 1 or 2 days, we would have exceeded that. On average, we're serving 1,000 more meals per month lunch, which is a phenomenal increase to me. Priorities for the remainder of this year, participation, want to keep promoting, keep putting that out, and just gathering ideas for next year. Every time I bump into a group of students, hey, what do you like? What didn't you like? What would you like to see? And then remaining in budget, using what we have on hand, utilizing the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Beginning of next month, well, next week, we're going to be doing government chicken. That's an 8-cut on the bone chicken that they all love. And we went ahead and got some watermelon as well from our provider. And then we're also going to offer multiple options through the remainder of the year. We'll have something menued, but there might be less of that menued item and a handful of mozzarella sticks or chicken patties. What we have left, just use up what we have. Goals for next year. Next year, I want to hit the New York State 30% initiative. That means that we're going to be purchasing at least 30% of our products from New York State sources. We're about 15% right now. All of our milk comes from Hudson Valley Fresh. All of our apples come from New York State. Between that gives us about 15% already. Once we hit that 30%, we're able to apply for an increase in reimbursement to me per meal. It's about 19 cents. It's not a huge increase, but pennies count when you're serving an extra 1,000 meals a month. More scratch cooking. We're going to utilize more scratch cooking methods. Again, more roasting, more sauteing, use more fresh ingredients with the Favors program. I've allocated slightly more to the Favors program for next year and make fresh whenever possible. So instead of using instant mashed potatoes, I'll get potatoes through Favors and then put that on the menu and mash them. I'm working with our ag department to grow some lettuce, tomatoes, and cucumbers. Unfortunately, school's not always in session during peak growing periods. But with the summer program here, I'm going to hope to at least get some of those things and freeze them or make sauce out of them or do something with it grown on site, depending on how much we're able to grow. Want to continue our marketing campaign. It's been very helpful so far. And the last thing on here is the New York State Farm to School Institute. We were just recently accepted into this institute. It's a year-long program which starts in August. It is a 2-day summit where we will go to Maybe Farm in Rotterdam, along with several other schools. We are going to work on a team of 5, and we are going to develop an action plan to implement more farm to school, both in nutrition for classrooms, education, and food in our programs. I'm very excited about this, and I hope to come back to you next year and tell you all the great things about this.
I'm very excited about it, because this is something that I saw at one of our conferences, so,
Mhm.
good.
Thank you. And that's it for me, and these are all the people that have made this possible for me this year. They work extremely hard.
They do,
They bow down to them.
they're great.
They're great. That's it for me.
I do have-
Thank you, Kyle.
I do have one question though, Kyle. You talked about New York State buying from New York State. We're at 15%. So what is, I mean, what are you buying and where? Like, is it, I mean, I know we can't buy, I mean, it's so ridiculous that we live in an agricultural area. We
Mhm.
can't buy from the local farms because
Right.
they don't have whatever the certification is that they need, and it's too expensive for them to get that certification or
Sure.
whatever that is. So what are we buying then? I mean, what would be increasing the buying?
So part of the plan when we go to that summit is going to be discussing what we're buying and where we're buying it from. Off the top of my head, there's a pasta brand called Spinoli. It is based out of New York. It's marginally more pricey than the Barilla brand that we're currently using. It is still whole wheat, but it is New York brand, and every time we have pasta on the menu, that's going to jump up something, another 5%.
Okay.
I'm working with the Cornell Extension Program. Katie Lopez is my advisor there, and she sends me updates on Hudson Valley produce and meat that we can buy. So when it's affordable, it'll always be a little bit pricier, but when we can, we'll go ahead and purchase those items.
Okay.
Would that be chicken?
It could be chicken, it could be beef, it could be pork, whatever is available at that point, and what we're menued.
And just for my notes, that boneless chicken night. Is that-
22nd. I'm on by.
I just want to clear my calendar, make sure.
We garlic parm, we buffalo, teriyaki, what do you want?
Teriyaki's good.
Okay.
I mean, not that I care, but if you happen to have some, that'd be really good. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Then switch to order.
We haven't had one of these from Nick in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's gonna be tough to follow sesame chicken, but I'll do my best. All right, so I'm gonna follow a similar outline, and I'm gonna talk about some of the challenges that we faced so far this year. And we're to the point now where working with the contractor really isn't getting us where we want to be. So we've taken on the work of even, making it safe. So when we have tripping hazards, my crew's been going through and, mitigating those hazards, putting some patch down just to keep us going. As you saw out there before, we have come up with some creative examples to deal with our issues, but ultimately the goal is to get them fixed and have the contractor be responsible for it. So we're in the process of collecting more core samples, and we're going to have them analyzed, and then we'll go from there and see what they say. Pool area. So we have a beautiful aquatic center, but it's one of the higher maintenance areas in the building. It's very difficult to maintain, keep it going, and one of the things is the unit itself. So this is the HVAC system, the dehumidification system for the pool, and they are only expected to last between 10 and 12 years. This one was installed back in 2011, so we're getting right about that point where it's going to be at end of life. So my crew's been doing a really good job of getting it to limp along. I have a really good HVAC tech in Tom Nostrand, and he goes up there all the time, and he's making adjustments and repairing things as we need to. But it's something that we're going to have to address, and we've talked about, getting that replaced up there so that we can keep that space running efficiently.
And how much does that cost?
Right around 800, 900, so just under $1 million. The other item that we've talked about is the auditorium roof. The auditorium roof, well, all of the flat roofs were replaced back in 2011, 2012, right in that area, 2010. The auditorium roof was as well, but we've had issues ever since that one was done. If we have a heavy rain, it won't leak. But wait for 5 days and then it leaks horribly. Inevitably, it's the day that we have Shakespeare in there or a concert and it starts to leak on the poor kids. So it's something that we need to get addressed. So that's more shots of the roof. Part of the problem is the way that they finish the roof membrane. So what you see there is a capstone up towards the top corner of the screen, and then there's a termination bar. You can see they just kind of brought the roof membrane up. There's a termination bar there, it has some sealant, but it's just not the best connection. So actually down at the base of the roof, you can see where water's starting to pocket there, and then it finds its way between the two roof membranes, and then it ends up in the auditorium. So that needs to be completely redone, and we'll also do that as part of the project. There's some improvised splashing even at that EPIS wall there, just because it's a spot where thought we were getting some infiltration, so we just tried to redirect the water as best as we can. And then aging systems. So the building was constructed in 99. It was opened in 99. Things are starting to get up there in age. This is the water softener system. Again, it's working, but it's limping. So it's something that as part of a capital project at some point, we're going to have to look at replacing. This is one of the big Johnson boilers. These are pretty impressive machines. They'll probably run for another 20 years or so. But we've had to make some repairs. The one on the far side there, to the left, that one had to be welded at one point because we had an issue with the seam. So we had to get a certified welder in there and to weld it up and get it back up and running. But these things will starting to take more manpower, more time, more money to keep everything running. And some highlights so far from this year. This one's huge with me. Every time I interview a new hire, I talk to them about the importance of attendance. And we sit there and we have a serious discussion about it. And I could tell that that's, we've got some people here that are really dedicated about getting to work. We're looking at this point so far in the school year, about 5 days on average. And, that's just across the board. There's some people that have a little bit more, there's some people that have 0. But that's your average. Some of you that were on the board back 2017, 18, 19 might remember me coming to you with numbers, close to 400 days, across the department. So we've decreased absenteeism huge over the last 4 or 5 years. And I think that's really, really great. And we have a dedicated team. And I think one of the reasons why this has happened is because of stuff like this. So these guys like to come to work. They like to have fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, they come to work and, they just decided one day, hey, we're gonna do this Christmas time. They went out front, they met out with the kids, and everybody had a good time. And they really enjoy doing things like this. They work together, and I think that makes everybody want to be here. We also did the outdoor classroom project this past summer. So that was a lot of fun, and everybody enjoyed doing that. And as you've all seen before, that's our finished project, but that was one of the things that we're very proud of that we were able to do this year. If anybody remembers back to 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in that time frame, OCR paid us a visit. And we had a whole bunch of things that they wanted us, and I'm not saying that they didn't treat us fairly, but I don't think they treated us fairly. But at the end of the day, this past year, we received word from our attorney's office that we've met all of the requirements that they were looking for, and they closed our case. So that was a huge win for us, and I'm glad that that is done because it's been kind of in the background for the last 10 years or so. We installed the feature field lighting, and I think that whole project came out really nice. So they're just the trucks putting up the poles and whatnot. And then we get to do some other fun jobs. So this one's that we just completed for athletics. So this is the shot put landing area. So we kind of did a little experiment to see if we could turn it a little bit, and that didn't work out. But when it was all said and done, we had some new material that came in, and we cut that all out, and that all eventually got tamped down, and it came out really nice. So it's on par with what a lot of other schools have, and we're not just throwing it out into the mud anymore. And then one of the biggest things I think for the transportation department, IT department, and myself is the bus project. So we took something that looks like this, and we turned it into something that looked like this. And we're getting ready to literally roll this thing out very soon. So priorities to close out this year. We got to continue on the terrazzo failure investigation. We'll continue to take care of any safety issues as they come up. Work on capital projects with architects and engineers for pool unit replacement and pack roof replacement because it's coming. Break ground on the EV infrastructure project. I'm super excited about that, and I can't wait for that project to get going. Begin the process of looking for student summer help. I love the fact that we can have our students come and do a little bit of work for us and get some real life work experience. We do have a couple of applicants already. Order up some materials and supplies for summer work and continue to evaluate needs for 24-25. So some of our goals, continue to work on projects to address the aging infrastructure, the things that I've showed you, and always have energy efficiency and sustainability at the forefront of the decision-making process. So we've done a lot of things like install the LED lights in the parking lots. We've put them in the school building. Every time we have a light that goes out, we look at that area and we'll strip the ballast. We'll put LED replacement bulbs instead. And really, I just wanted a good reason to get to use that picture because the sky looked really cool. But one of the other things that I'm sure Ron remembers, turf is getting real close for replacement. So that's one of the other things that we have to address. So that'll be on a future project. And that track there is starting to get old and tired as well. So we should probably do them at the same time because it wouldn't make sense to rip one out.
Did we replace that already once?
We had to do a little bit of resurfacing work with turf, but it was just the inside lane.
Oh, I see.
Nothing else was touched. So the asphalt underneath is actually starting to heave in places, and we've had all kinds of things that, we've been keeping it going. It's not unsafe, but it's getting close. That's all I have.
So, when they did the roof in 11, that was a bid job?
Yes.
We didn't do it ourselves?
No.
And somebody signed off on that flashing, put it on the way it was?
The picture of the flashing that I showed you, the improvised flashing. No, that was not part of the project. That was actually, so when they did that project, they didn't have flashing in the scope. So what they did was they went around, and the way it was designed is they took all the existing flashing and they bent it up. They brought the roof up underneath and then they bent the flashing back down. What I showed you there was just, trying to keep water from getting into.
Oh, no, not that one. You showed me a picture, the first picture with the black flashing, not the one that you had on the picture of the peak.
Oh, the termination bar.
The termination bar looked like it was over top and it should have been underneath.
Well, the termination bar was supposed to be over the top of the EPDM roofing.
Yeah.
I think part
Under the bridge. Now, as far as the floor looks like, it looks like it was never adhered from the day they put it down and they knew we had a moisture problem.
Mhm.
Now, is there a statute of limitation where we can file suit against these people? Because if it goes past the statute of limitation where we could sue them for doing a bad job,
so
we have to look at our interests that we could file suit against them before a statute of limitation kicks in for the inferior job that they did, because there's no doubt it's an inferior job.
So we've consulted with the attorneys, and their guidance to us up to this point has been, since we made them aware of the problem within the time frame of the warranty, then we have time now to go out and do our exploratory work, and then move from there. So I have actually the core, and we're not too far down the road at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I have the cores being done at the end of this month on April 30th. We ran into some other roadblocks, and it took us more time than I would have liked to get the cores scheduled in. But those are scheduled to be done at the end of this month. And once those are done and turned over to the lab, we should have a report, I'm hoping within just a few weeks after that. So once we have that report and it tells us exactly what's going on, that'll kind of guide us on how we move forward.
Well, I heard previously when we discussed this, something about that, well, they found some spots that were worse than what they figured. Well, then do it the right way and we would have paid more money, that's all. Don't just say, oh, this is worse, and just cover it. I think that's what they did. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, we have some theories, but that's what they are at this point until I have lab results.
Doing a great, I like the way you're patching them, by the way, that's pretty cool.
I can't hear. We're getting through anyway.
Yeah, and they just keep popping up, don't they?
Literally.
Popping up. I just want to say, your guys really do a great job of, they are part of the community here, like the things that they did with the community bus, you know, and the classroom outdoors. I mean, yes, you know, it was their job, but they really put their love and their personality into all of that, right? I mean, they really do care about the school, so I love that.
100%. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank
Well-
you.
Who's Tommy Joe?
It's my
Okay.
turn now. You can't have a transportation presentation without some roads, and I couldn't find buses, so we got cars. It's at least better than nothing. So we're gonna look at the challenges, highlights, and the goals, like Nick and Kyle. So some challenges we faced: driver shortage everywhere. We've looked at absenteeism, the attendance of the employees, my dispatcher's on maternity leave. She comes back in a couple of weeks, which will be really nice. Some retirements. Our contractor is having the same issues. Just everywhere. Every person I've talked to is having the same issues. We've had an increase in field trips, extracurricular midday routes. So those are, you know, just the like heavy equipment programs, the BARD, the New Visions programs that the kids are able to partake in, but they do involve transportation because they need to get where they're going. And we're preparing for the EV buses. And so we've done everything. You know, we have an article in the Titan Herald, we've put it on the sign, we've got lawn signs that we've had made up. We've just posted Facebook, social media, everything, word of mouth, everything. It's not really, we do have one driver that you approved last month that was in training. So we're working on that to get her trained and get her in. Here's where we're at, absenteeism. So this year, through just April, we've had 783 shifts to cover. So a shift is a morning route or an afternoon route or a midday run or a 5:15 or a 4 o'clock run. It's all broken down. So normally I'll look at it as a whole day, but for this presentation, that gives you an idea that if one person takes off an entire day, they could have up to 4 or 5 shifts. So we have to cover that. It could be anything. The whole entire school year last year, September through June, it was 764. So we've already far exceeded that. And I currently have a couple more drivers that are going to be going out on a long-term leave. So we're facing that as well. We've got at least 2 to 3 people out a day. Norm and Josh they actually call themselves full-time bus drivers, part-time mechanics now because they drive mornings, they drive afternoons. They're doing everything they can. We combine as many routes as we possibly can. We're putting together things that we haven't before, looking at timings of schools, maybe picking up 5 minutes sooner from a school. But just yesterday, I was driving, Norm and Josh were driving, you know, and I drive as often as they need. Then I had a driver who called in last minute and said, I don't feel good, and we had to cancel that school for the day. So unfortunately, those out-of-district students didn't make it. I was already in a bus, so there was nothing I could do because I was currently on the road. This is where we're at. I mean, I've racked my brain hours and hours, talked to other people, like, how do we do this? How do we get through this? Because the programs are there. We don't want the kids to miss out on that, but somehow, and people, I have some very dedicated employees who come to work every day, pick up any additional shift. Their overtime is, they just have so much overtime, which is unheard of because we've not really been there in quite a few years. But they're picking up whatever they can possibly do. Angela and I have worked together to move some game time so we could get drivers this week. So the athletic events don't have to be canceled. And we're getting EV buses. So this is the next thing. It's just kind of rolling into, I have a lot of staff who are kind of like, I'm not sure about this. So our vendor, Matthews Buses, is they're helping me set up training. So that way when the buses arrive, we can make everyone feel comfortable enough, get them trained properly. So maybe they don't have that apprehension anymore. And we're working with Nick to ensure that the entire infrastructure project, he's been really great about making sure that everything we've talked about, how we're gonna set the buses up, how, you know, in the time at the end of the school year when we start the project, how we'll get in the afternoon our buses to all line up in the back part of our parking lot. That's gonna be the primary area that's gonna start getting you know, work done to it, so we need to move that. So we've been working together trying to figure out the best route and the best way to park our buses and make sure everyone is happy. And I did just receive notice last week that our buses have been pushed back to mid-October. There was an issue with inverters in the buses. So what happened was all of the buses that were already produced through the production line, they had to take them back, take them apart, and change out the inverters and be completely inspected all over again. So the process had to stop for the production line, stopped of all the buses, and that's what held that up. So that's where we are. We're kind of at the mercy. We can't do anything with the EPA to ask for an extension until after July 1st. But working with Matthews, they are already on top of that to make sure that we have all the documentation, everything we need to get through, to make sure that we are there and we get the extension we need. But we are still moving forward with the surplus of the buses, so they know in the direction. And Ashley just finished the application for the additional funding for the chargers, and so we're hoping to hear back from that. We'll get that hopefully soon. So what we currently have is 13 out of district schools and 2 private schools we transport to. Last year it was 14 and 2, not really much of a change. So far this year we've done 67 field trips, which almost 5,000 miles. And last year, as you can see, there's about 10 more trips, but you know, the mileage is up. We've definitely put more. Same with athletic trips. We do a lot. We go a lot of places, and it takes a little bit of a toll. But looking at the bright side, so I did get my 19A, and I have the SBDI, so I can do all the training, and we have everything in-house and trying to make sure everybody has everything they need. We had a really great bonding during the conference days, especially in December. We did make sure that any out-of-district placements of schools that we would have transported to on that day, because they were not closed. Normally we still transport on our conference days, but because of what we were doing on that day, the administrative team agreed that it was okay to not send them and let all the employees kind of have that same benefit of doing the fun stuff and bonding. So they really appreciated that. We had a successful winter. It was great. I was able to get a transportation guide. My first experience, I've never seen a policy, I'll be honest, never seen one, never read one, really up until that point, but it was a great learning experience for me. I researched many different schools and how they put their stuff together to get that together, but it was really a great experience. We did increase our safety record from last year, and we persevered. It's really a struggle, and nobody really understands transportation unless you've been there, but it really is. Every minute changes. We have a book that has everyone's absenteeism or absences for each day, and we used to be able to kind of like look at it for the next day and be like, okay, so-and-so can do this. Now I wait till 5 o'clock in the morning when my phone goes off for people to tell me that they're not coming before we can really try to figure out who's going to do what. Overall, we've so far this year traveled 593,681 miles, which is an increase from last year's miles. It's the same time frame, you know, but with that being said, we have 100% DOT inspection rate. Last year was 98.67. That is all thanks to Josh and Norm. They're amazing because even driving, they get their work done. They're always on top of it. I never worry. They make sure everything is set. All the buses are good to go. So I'm really proud of them. They do a fantastic job. Our safety record, so far this year, we had one incident. It was not our bus driver's fault. It was another car that cut her off and hit her. But last year we had 3, so we're doing much better, and hopefully next year we will have none. So just an outlook, our diesel and gas prices currently are much better than last year. I just took those numbers. And so that's nice to see that happen, that they're a little bit lower. And we're down a little for what we currently transport for students. There are a lot of kids who are driven, a lot that are driving, so that is down a little bit, but that's okay. We'll get there. Just a few nice little pictures. We took the 6th graders to Catamount. They got to go snow tubing. Our Titan Voyager, which everyone is proud of, that's finally finished. It just had some work done to it the last couple of days, so that was great. That's our last conference day, and everyone, and our cute little pre-K kids that went to Hancock Shaker Village on Friday, they had a really great time, so it was nice to see them. They love the baby animals. That was their favorite. Our goals for next year, to get 100% safety record, try to increase our attendance would be nice, and increase how many drivers and substitutes we have. We're really trying to get that out there, word of mouth, really trying to bring, new staff in, and just try to keep our current staff here, and trying to figure out what will bring them to work a lot. Looking at recruiting, again, we are reevaluating, so I try to look at the end of the school year in the summer, reevaluate each route, make sure that, we're being efficient. How many kids are actually riding on this bus? Can we combine them? Would it be more efficient to do so? So we are looking at that, getting ready to integrate our bus fleet, and we just I'm just in the process of finalizing the dates for our first responder training, as well as our first driver training. And we'll hold our charging infrastructure training. Once that's all finished, we'll then have another first responder training for them to see where our infrastructure is set up, where the panel box is, what they should do in the event of an emergency with the chargers, because everything's going to be kind of in close proximity to the diesel and gas tanks that are in the ground. So we want to make sure that everyone is safe at all times, and that's the point of trying to set up all the training, so everyone is aware of where everything is. So we are going to change our 4 p.m. bus routes in the next year. We currently have 6 routes. We're going to go to 4. So those routes are going to mimic like our 515s. If anyone's familiar with the way a 515 runs, they have one specific route. They drop off in those. You can drop off any child on the route, but that they don't differ from that route. We have found in this year, we have tried really hard to cover. It is extremely difficult, but we only have approximately 50 to 60 kids who take the 4 o'clock buses. Unless there's a club, then on those days we have an increase. It's about, we can have up to about 100 kids, but they don't all ride the bus. And that's very rare. Their ride time for those that live on the outer parts of the district will actually have a little bit less. It may decrease some of the staying, but we don't really have the ability to maintain 6 routes. It's not efficient. It really isn't. So trying to figure out the best way. The 515s are a shorter route. There's only 2 buses that do one side of the district. The 4 are, the district is broken up into 4 quarters. So that's how that will go. The 4 o'clock buses will reach farther areas, different roads than the 515s, but it'll still be a direct route. And I really believe that once we really get into it, that it will work out. It'll, like everything else, get the kinks worked out and it'll be fine. The maximum amount of miles is about 40 for each one of those runs. I have drivers now that leave here at 4 and they don't come back till 5:30, 5:45 from dropping off their students. So which means the last student gets off, depending on the route, depending on where they are, the last student gets off the bus at 5:15, 5:30. So this will and should help the students to at least get home sooner. That's kind of the goal. We don't want them to be on the bus very long, but again, being short-staffed, we have to kind of, use our heads to figure out exactly how it's most efficient to get the kids home. So we also talked about changing the age for drop-off. It's always been pre-K and kindergarten needed to have a parent. But first graders who are still 5, maybe 6, can get dropped off without a parent. And I don't know, but at, 5 or 6, my kids weren't really able to, think about crossing the road and doing all that. So we talked about it and came to the agreement that pre-K through 3rd grade, it's ages 4 through 8. So we're gonna send out information. We're putting that in the Titan Herald. We're gonna make sure that Facebook posts, social media, everywhere, that parents are notified. When I send letters home at the beginning of the school year, I'm going to inform the parents, both offices, when they send home schedules, or well, mostly the elementary, but we'll still send it with the high school just in case it doesn't reach, they have a younger sibling. We want to make sure that everyone is at least aware.
Wait, so you're saying that we actually drop kids off 5 years old without a parent being there?
We can do that. That's what it's always been.
I can't even believe that.
So that's why we opted to change it, because it really needed to be something. I do think that maybe older, but you're really pushing your limits with some parents. But believe it or not, I've had parents call and tell me that their child can get off the bus without them. They don't need to be there. I don't know, it baffles me that someone would be like that. But so this is the 265 is what we currently have in pre-K, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd. I don't know what our incoming pre-K and kindergarten numbers really look like. So if there's going to be any additions, but we're looking at, a significant number of students who are going to be impacted by this. Parents are not going to be happy, because when we call now, sometimes they're extremely unhappy that, well, just drop them off. No, it's not ethically correct to do that. So it's just, it's definitely something that we felt very passionate about changing. So just be on notice in case you get upset parents, because they'll come to you and complain. And so just so you're aware, something that I'm kind of excited about and looking into is bus patrol. So we've worked really closely with our sheriff's department over the years to help us hand out tickets to people who run the red lights of a bus. But we have one officer who is dedicated. He's wonderful, Joe Kilmer. He is always there, always helps. But he's one person, and he has to go a completely different route than what bus patrol does. So they outfit our buses with the system, the camera system, and it's actually monitored through the cloud. And what happens is this is the part that really makes me excited, is that if someone runs the reds of a bus, they issue the ticket to the owner of the vehicle. Doesn't matter. If you were the driver, you let someone use your car and they ran it, you're going to get the ticket. So you can actually, like, if you can prove that your car was stolen at the time, then obviously that'll be different. But you can also transfer ownership if you can prove that you were not the driver and someone else was. Good luck with that. But they do say that 98% of the first-time offenders don't get a second ticket. It's a $250 fine right up front. And what happens is if you don't pay that, or you pay that and then you get another violation within 18 months, they raise it $25 extra, up to $300. And then I do imagine that at some point, if you don't pay it, then it goes, your license is at risk. But at that point, I'm sure something else happens. But they will come, they will help, they will install everything. There is no cost, but we're trying to figure out how we can become a partner. So I'm really excited. These are some districts that are currently using it, like Pine Plains is just on the other side of us. And for Dutchess County, North Colony, Watervliet, South Colony, Bethlehem, Niskayuna, Suffolk County, Dutchess County, Rensselaer County. So all of these, there's many more. This is just a few but they have already partnered with them. So there is a lot of data that says this is a really good program for us to try to get into. It will help alleviate, Joe does not mind whatsoever, but it will help alleviate and hopefully issue more tickets to people and deter them from doing it. And that's all I have for you. Any questions?
I wrote down a couple of things. How many drivers do we have?
Off the top of my head, I believe there is about 20, just over 20.
So 20, and then they share those 700 and so many shifts.
Well, that's attendance, like bus attendants as well as drivers,
Oh,
not
okay.
just
Oh, I
drivers.
see.
So
Oh,
that's
no, I see.
everyone,
Okay.
combined together. Which attendants are tough to cover as well, because you have to make sure that you have the right people.
Have we looked to use maybe retired bus drivers that have retired? I mean, would they come back and maybe,
We had asked
substitute?
some. I did actually just have a phone conversation with a former driver from quite a few years ago, and I said, I thought you were calling to say that you really wanted to come back to drive, and she said, no such luck. So it's unfortunately something that a lot of people, it's just, they don't, to be honest, they don't want to deal with the kids. That's what I've heard from a lot of people. I don't want to deal with the kids. I'm like, it's not bad. Like, you really have to get into the bus and really like drive it to really experience that. It can be rewarding. It really is great. And you need to just give it a chance. So.
That's all I had with that.
Yeah, currently, if it's a full-time employee, I've looked at the sign on the school board. They get benefits and.
Yep, once they're hired, it's $24.93, and they'll get health insurance and benefits.
We have a sub posting on
We-
the sign too. We have both bus
Yep.
drivers and subs, which are $22 an hour.
So everyone starts as a sub until we get you in here, get you trained, and then really at this point, it's not really that long. I mean, we have a lot of routes. As I said, we do have some other drivers, and there are some people who are contemplating retiring in the next year. So we are gonna face that as well. I'm not really sure how.
And we're really not the only school district.
We
It's
are not.
just, yeah, it's really all over.
So how many more drivers would you ideally hire right
I'll
now?
take as many as I can get. But we have one that's coming. My dispatcher will be able to drive. Once she comes back from maternity leave, she'll be getting her license. So that'll give us an extra couple of people, hopefully, to start the school year with. So, but ideally, she works in the office and tries to cover if I'm out, and so on and so forth. But we really would ideally like at least a couple of more people that are willing to want to put through. And I've even said to people, if you just want to do like sports runs, anything, like if you're not looking to do like full time, like all day, come do a sports trip or a field trip, anything.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, John.
Passing the baton. So yes, I was a bus driver too, and you gotta think about it, half the time your load's empty. So,
Right.
But anyway.
That's way to be positive, John.
But it all comes back to driving bus part-time.
Is that the glass half full or half empty?
All right, so the IT department, I guess I got it easier than those 2 or 3, because there's only 4 of us in it. And, some of us use our days to the fullest, but good attendance. There's 4 things that I really worry about. It doesn't matter whether it's this year, last year, or the future. It happens all the time. Data integration, protection, and backups. That is the #1 thing to me. All right, making sure the backups are done, making sure that there's cybersecurity to protect and whatnot, and making sure that the data is always there and safe. Someday it's gonna happen. I just hope it's not under my rule. Happens to them all. New York State just had a big vote. They got ransomware, There's a place that I thought would never get it. They get the better technology people, but they got it. So someday I just hope it's not me. So, then that comes into cybersecurity and the training. We do know before training, we're just wrapping that up now with the teachers. Please, board members, none of you have started it, please do it sometime.
Sorry, John, I just got an email today, I'm like, oh.
Start what?
That's real.
John, I delete every email, I don't know.
I'm so scared, he's like, is it real?
I think I reported it last year.
Delete. I don't trust nothing.
All right, John, I promise I'll do it.
I reported it
And-
last year.
Another step that we're taking this year that, we're probably a little behind compared to other schools, but it's MFA, multi-factor authentication. That makes my life, I sleep a little better knowing that people have that. Because, my example is the bank. When you remote into your account, you have to authenticate not only with a password, but a trusted machine, a second device, okay? That eliminates a lot of the issue of China, or the big places is Egypt, Iraq, that area of people getting our logins and using them and getting information that they shouldn't. The third thing on my list is meeting the end user device and programs. That's very important, making sure everybody is happy with the device that they have in their hand, they can easily use it, and making sure all the programs work with one another. Something that's always in the back of my mind is a tech plan. The current tech plan we're working on is 225. So next year we'll be planning out 26 to 29. The most important piece of information is school tools, student data, keeping that protected and safe. So that's why I'm starting there. From there, we take the student information and push it out to these other. This is the lunch program, Titan lunch program. Traversa is the transportation. Thrillshare is the calling. Frontline is IEPs, and eDoctrina is teacher evaluations. From there, then it gets into the information for students using the programs. And these are most of the programs that we mainly push updates out to. There are 3 that you can see with X's on them. We'll be getting rid of them this year. Fine-tuning, updating, consolidating, using things to the fullest. So that's why we're dropping those 3, because some of these other ones will pick it up and run with it. These are just programs that we use here at school. The music department, the tech department, or the tech teacher down here. 2 new things we have are zSpace and ActiveFloor. I'll talk about them a little bit later, but that's new for this coming year. These programs are used by administration. You have Envision, which is the finance program. QWare, Mr. Smith and I love this program for work orders. So the teachers put in a work order. If you watch a football game, you watch it on a Huddle computer or a camera system. Then this is our surveillance cameras and fuel management and asset management. And this is Stop It. We're getting into that, trying to use that more with the students. These programs are the ones that our department uses. For security, we have Umbrella, CrowdStrike, and Barracuda. That's our phone system. Google is going to be using more. That's Noble4. And then security, Microsoft Security. GoGuardian is on all the Chromebooks. For hardware that the end user is using, desktops, I had to compare this. I gotta be honest, I stole this from a report I did back in, I'm trying to remember how many years ago, 4 or 5 years, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So our numbers, 620 desktops, that's about half of what we had that 5-6 years ago. Laptops is almost doubled, we're 1-to-1 plus. Basically, and I've got all, I should clarify that I have all of this stuff on a cycle so that I know what I'm buying for the next, I know what I'm buying next year, the year after, and the year after that, basically. Projectors, those numbers are going down because we're going to the MX boards, the smart boards. People don't, you know, standing in front of a projector and I can't see you. So that's kind of why we're getting away from that. Printers, there's 147 of them throughout the building. Servers, we have 20 virtual servers and 9 physical servers here in the building that we maintain. That doesn't count Microsoft Office, which is in the cloud, and a couple other programs. Switches. This was a big thing this year with Mr. Hartman and myself. We've gone through, we've replaced all 63. There are, I knew the number, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 network closets that hold 63 switches so that all the access points, there's one right there in the ceiling, the projector, all get connected to, goes back to the MDF closet. So that was our big project for this year. I talked about MX boards, that number's going up. I'll go up more, buying some more this year. We have about 65 document cameras, 228 phones. We have 196 surveillance cameras throughout the entire district. Access points, we have 194 of them, so that we cover not only the inside of the building, but the outside of the building. Mr. Smith talked about what a nice little classroom we built outside. That was the only freaking place that didn't have Wi-Fi. So I fixed that problem. They're supposed to be here in the next 2 weeks to put up 2 more access points, so we'll have 196 to cover that. Some highlights of this year, our technology group had a little play on words. Tech is a company that we buy the smart boards from, but they also have Active Floor, zSpace, and InSpirit. They came, they set up, we gave teachers food, they came and looked at everything, with everything, had some good input, and then the business department and superintendent were gracious enough to get a grant. So we are getting the Active Floor, so that's going to be in a room this summer. We'll get it set up and teachers will sign out that room and go, and the kids will have a big, it's basically a big screen on the floor and the kids get to step on it, and that's what activates it rather than your finger. zSpace, I think is the most awesome thing. That is a laptop, and you can see that the heart is outside of it. It's kind of a one-to-one person sort of thing, but you sit in front of it and you can pull it out of the screen, turn it, and then take things away, put things on it, so you can play with the heart. There are many other programs. Specifically, one that I was interested in was for the tech teacher to use in their CAD program. They do a lot of floor plans. So you can bring the floor plans into this, make it 3D, put the siding on, you know, put the foundation in, put the framing up, put the electric in, and you just click the button and it keeps adding those things in. So that was really cool. And then when you're done, you take a little, click on a camera, and then you can actually go through it virtually. So that was another thing from the Active Floor. So I'm looking forward to being able to play with this. Something that one of our fellow workers came up with, and I was going to run with it, laptops. Number one reason we get rid of a laptop is because it's got a broken screen. So what he's doing is, since our old desktops are older than probably I am and Joe.
Thanks.
We're taking the laptops, taking the screen off, and then hooking them up to a monitor so that they'll have a workstation in the room. That condenses it down. Their teachers always complaining about real estate in the room and having enough room. So when you have a complete full computer, it takes up a lot of desk space. Well, this is going to minimize that. So I'm looking forward to getting them all set up. And then everybody's touched on this, and I borrowed Mr. Smith's picture and blew it up. It's kind of nice that we're a team and we all said a little something. And the thing that I'm going to say is I'm excited that Mr. Smith and I are going to be sitting out on Thursday, if you want to come around between 11 and 1. We're going to be sitting there waiting for teachers to come out during their lunch break to check it out and see what it is and be able to use, get ideas about how to use it. That was sort of what the tech day was about, letting them see what was available, getting ideas and getting them thinking about it now so that they can use it. And then I'm looking forward to this summer, going around the camps and whatnot.
You're gonna drive around, John?
I don't know who's gonna do it.
You've done it.
Yeah, though you're gonna.
You gotta drive one.
We no
You
longer,
said so.
we no longer need a CDL to drive it, so anybody can actually drive it.
Really?
So now that we got through all the fun stuff, you guys remember this? You guys remember School Bonds Act? It
Yeah.
started in 2016. We were given $918,000 to use from the Fed. We've used all but $86,000 of it. So I gotta figure out, I don't have to figure it out, I kinda know what I'm gonna be doing with the money. But I gotta rewrite it, get it sent in, go through the process, and it seems like that took a couple of years last time, so.
Yeah, probably.
The other project that I'm working on, this is the tech plan, and there was they set it up with 3 goals. Future career and planning, that was to use Naviance to get the kids into careers, and I'm gonna have to write something up about that. Consistent data collection, that was more pertaining to the teachers being able to have information about the students and accurate, up-to-date, and being able to teach them correctly based on the data. The third one is digital security, which is my KnowBe4 program. I'm hoping to get more so that they can teach the kids, show the kids the videos that they had to sit and watch. And then that's gonna lead to the 26-29 plan, and we gotta come up with ideas and where we're going with that. Any questions?
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Okay, can we turn that light on? Thanks, John. This is a good one. Next up, superintendent report.
Well, before I do my official report, I do want to say that it is with a heavy heart that I want to honor the memory of one of the district's former employees and dedicated sports coaches, Robert Burns. Bob passed away this morning after a long and brave battle with cancer. He leaves behind a legacy as a mentor to countless students, forever remembered for his boundless generosity and care. Though I didn't have the privilege of knowing Bob personally, I've been touched by the many stories shared by my colleagues about his impact, and many of them heard today. My heartfelt condolences extend to his family, friends, our students, and our staff as we navigate this loss together. So in tribute to Bob's memory, I just kindly request a moment of silence. Thank you. Other items, we continue to be busy here with lots of excitement and great things happening for our community and our students. Earlier this week, we had a successful college fair. We had sophomores, juniors, and seniors attend. I think we had about 30 different colleges and universities here. It was really exciting to see the kids so excited and engaged. When I was leaving, I heard a couple kids talking about how they didn't realize they could go to school for certain things, so their eyes were definitely open. Last Friday, we had our last lockdown of the year, and it went well, and we were able to see how we've continued to get better as the year's gone on, making sure that we're following all our protocols. We're working on our hiring right now for the 24-25 school year. Friday also, we had a successful family movie night that Dr. Gardner had put together. I think she originally had 35 families signed up and over 50 attended.
Oh, nice.
Our grade 3 through 8 have been doing their state testing. We're excited to say that there's been a decrease in the number of opt-outs, which is important because we need to reach a certain percentage and that impacts us. We've been participating in interest-based bargaining sessions with the Faculty Association. Those have been ongoing. I also this week went to Columbia Green College of High School to celebrate, or was that last week? I don't know, it's all coming together. Celebrate our students that have been in that program, which is a great opportunity for them. We're working on planning for summer school. Next week, I'll be attending a New York State conference and a Women's Initiative Summit, so that will be exciting to be able to do that. We're also working on planning summer school. And tomorrow we have a couple people from state ed that are coming to visit our school to read to our students and also to share with our junior, senior high students about the importance of continuing school and different opportunities beyond high school. So Dr. Linares, who is one of the cabinet members for the governor and the president of the Higher Education Center, as well as their executive VP, Ms. Gonzalez, will be here to visit our school and to support the reading initiatives that the governor has put forth. So those are my updates for now. Any questions?
The beginning where you said, was it just a college fair or was it careers as well? Was it just college?
This was a focus on college.
Will we have a career?
But we have colleges that came that focus on different trades and different opportunities.
I went to Voorheesville not too long ago, well, actually this past week, and they had a career fair and they had all different professions there. So I was just wondering if that's something we can do.
Yeah,
Which grades participated in that?
Pardon me?
Was that the whole high school?
Grade 10, 11, and 12.
And when I went to Voorheesville, they did 4th grade and up. So I thought that was pretty, even though they had deer in the headlights, they had no idea. But they got to ask questions of people that are veterinarian there, doctors, so I thought it was really good. Okay, Board of Education activity reports. Anybody got anything? I mean, I know the people that went to the conference are gonna report, but Rick, you got anything?
I guess I could mention that we did meet with the with Healthy Kids and the New York State Office of Child and Family Services fire inspectors regarding some space that we want to use for the daycare. And they were in favor of the plan that Healthy Kids helped us come up with. So now we have a cost estimate on what it would cost to do the renovations, and we just have to find some money.
I know you're on it.
Sure.
Anybody else before I start with the conference?
I saw Kerwin run track, coming second,
You did?
against Green Tech.
He came in second?
Came second, he was running fast. He did a good job, the other kid was light, but Something like that.
Now I'll say that too, I've been to some track meets and Curran and his brother Xander and Clyde and Eli Russo were in a relay.
Oh, so they run a relay team?
Yeah,
Aw,
and they did really, really well. That was against 22 schools.
we have a great track team.
Yeah, it's been really exciting. It's new tonight, over by now.
You know, I wasn't able to do any track meets, but what I will say is, this is the first year that I can remember in a long time that when election time comes up, I've been approached by probably 3 or 4 different community members inquiring about running for the board. Now, whether they did or they didn't put in, you know, the petitions, I don't know. And I don't know what to attribute that to. I would like to think it's because we've done a relatively good job, you know,
That's a good
over the
point.
last year or so, but just the interest, I think, in the community this year is higher in my estimation than it's been.
Yeah, that's
Now, once
good.
they get here, you know, that's it.
All right, so Margaret, we'll go with you. Start. Just mention like one of the sessions
One of
that
the
you went to.
sessions?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll meet with Lynette afterwards to go over through all of them.
Oh boy, I don't know which one I was
I
gonna
know,
talk
I'm
about.
trying to pick mine too.
So it was 2 full days in New Orleans, Saturday and Sunday, and there's keynote speakers each day, but there's 3 one-hour sessions each day where you pick from a million different things. I'll say since.
Margaret was so excited.
Since Sean Dobbs is here, I will say, the one that I thought, oh, I have to do this because I don't know anything about it, a thing on AI. So I did go, I learned about it. They had a teacher there and I took a lot of notes. I typed up all my notes. Basically, be intentional, go slow. Don't be afraid of it. It's not going away. We're gonna, you know, and they started really with a policy. They started with age 14 and up. I won't go into all the details, but it didn't seem as scary once I started thinking about like how to use it and how to use it wisely, how to, you know, just beginning with maybe a few teachers that are interested in learning about it and starting there, sending them in the summer to get some training. And then the creative ways you can use them, you know, teach kids how to use AI to edit a paper, not write the paper, stuff like that. Anyway, it's a whole new world for me, but that was a big leap and I learned a lot about it, so.
Was that the guy from Compton?
No, but funny enough, the guy, that was this group in Washington, which were awesome, but the guy from Compton was right after, and it fed right into it because he was also just like, this many jobs are gonna be gone, this many jobs are gonna be opening, and it's all gonna be AI stuff, and don't be afraid of it. And he was awesome. He's very inspirational. So I'll tell you about him also, but yeah, the guy from Compton, Amin Ra, Principal Ra, is a really cool guy, and he opened a school in the middle of Watts in LA where there's feuding, what do they call those, gangs. And he got 95% going to college, 95% of the students. And he said, one of his mottos, and I thought some of the stuff he said we're doing, short motto, like this is our motto. I know Lynette puts that on everything, like everyone counts every day, every way, like have your motto and it should be quit. But also like, let the world adjust, you be you. Like come to the kids and say, you're perfect as you are. Let the world adjust. There's a place for you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he's a very inspirational guy.
Okay. Ron?
One of the courses I took called Personalized Learning, a Lawton School. I forget what state it was. I want to say something like Wyoming or one of those, you know, states with like 12 people in it. But it was fascinating because they came up with a plan with, they call it 3 E's, employment, education, and enlistment. Where basically, starting in 6th grade, they start, you know, meeting with the counselors and the parents and the students to see what kind of track they want to do. If they want to, you know, they want to go to college, or do they want to learn a trade, or do they want to go into the military? And what they do is between 6th and 9th grade, it's kind of generalized studies where you can kind of switch around if you really want to, but it's gearing you towards what you chose, and the parents and the kids chose together for what they want to do. And then come 10th grade, it starts focusing specifically on it, and through 12th grade. So that by the time you're done with 12th grade, in theory, you're going to be either ready to go to college, ready to do some kind of trade, or joining the military. Now, that doesn't mean you can't switch from 10th to 11th and 12th. They said, no, it happens all the time, but at least it gives an avenue for some kids who know what they want to do, to focus on that and get prepared for what they want to do. And again, it's like at 10th, 11th, and 12th, it's more, the classes are more designed for what they want to do. So I thought it was fascinating. It's just a different way of trying to get a career pathway for our kids. It's just something to think about in terms of how we proceed with our kids, because in today's 21st century, education is changing. And, what worked back in the old days doesn't necessarily work now. And maybe it's time to start thinking about, gearing kids up to what they want to do. That was about it.
So many kids don't know what they want to do, and it's unfortunate. Joe?
All right, so I took Bridging to the, I took 9 classes. One of the 9 I took was Bridging to the Future, Framework with Post-Secondary Preparations. The titles of these things never go with what's actually being said. That's always confusing. So what this, in Alaska, this school did, it was about kids that are not going to college in schools. Now they had dark blue, blue, medium blue, light blue, turquoise, and tan. Tan being the most kids going to college, and dark blue being the least amount of kids going to college. Obviously, Alaska was dark blue. Believe it or not, New York was blue, right behind them. And all around New Hampshire was medium blue and dark blue, but New Hampshire was turquoise. So I asked somebody, and they said they have a lot of boarding schools and they push to college. So that's that. So what they did in Alaska was, across the street from their school, they put a 9th to 12 academy for technology and technical trades. And they would pick kids out. And this academy would revolve plumbing, electric, carpentry, whatever, but their whole curriculum would revolve around their profession. English, math, science, and that's what they did there. But their main thing that they do in Alaska, believe it or not, is small engine aviation, because that's the only way to get around up there. Yeah, but that was very interesting class.
Right?
There's so many that I went to that I really enjoyed. One that kind of stood out was a panel. Hopefully you're not going to talk about this one too. A panel of students, and it was from a school in Oregon. It was a rural school, and I think there was 4 kids on there, and they were speaking about their biggest thing, which I will quote one of them. They said that we have loud voices if you listen to us. And that really hit home. I just think that these kids are really, they want more, and we need to give them more. And when you're in a small district like ours, I think the kids really have to advocate for themselves, and they do have to have a strong voice. And then they also talked about absenteeism in their schools, which I thought was interesting, and that their school, or one particular girl said they have a lot of incentives, and they kind of do it as a whole, like the whole grade. If there's a handful of kids that didn't come to school, it affects the whole grade. So whether the kids were giving, the whole grade was, they got ice cream coupons, or maybe they got a field day, or they got some kind of incentive. If these 5 kids wrecked it for the rest of them, I mean, I know it's a little difficult, but they gave them gold, silver, bronze medals. spirit points. So, yeah, it was interesting to look. Oh, and they also, which I thought was really interesting, was these kids all wanted the board to be more present in school. They all said that we should be
That happened
inspired.
in one of my sessions too.
Yeah, so I think what I seem to go to were sessions that talked a lot about giving the children a voice in their own education. And I liked what Kyle was saying earlier about he's like talking to them about what they want for lunch. I think that's important. And going along those lines, one that really stood out was it's a reading program, and the school in Pennsylvania works with Read Alliance and United Way, and they're actually paying their teenagers or high school students to tutor their elementary school students in reading. And I just think that's a great idea. They said that it's not obviously helped the elementary students, but they've also really come a long way with the teenagers feeling that they have the absenteeism has gone down because they want to come to school. They have a sense of, purpose and just feeling really good about themselves. So I thought that was something that was really great, and that we could also build on that and maybe tutor in languages like Spanish.
And didn't you say some of the kids wanted to go into teaching too after doing that?
Yep, they've had kids that.
Which,
And I love,
the teacher
I
shortage.
love that.
Yeah, Pinky
A little-
Square
a
promise
little-
to come back.
Yeah, a little kid in the elementary school said, Pinky, come back tomorrow to the high school student. So the little kids really touched the big kids.
I'm going to touch on just a couple. I'll try to make them. One was bridging the workforce gap. So there's a school in Rio Grande, Texas, and so what they did is to encourage some work-based learning is that they went out into the community, and what they did was hold a dinner and invited businesses to come to this dinner, and then they explained their internship, their mentor program, and encourage these businesses to give our students opportunities during the summer months. So it would be like from May till, well, our school gets over in June, but anyways, from May to like August. So over a couple of months, they would work, they would earn money, and with these local businesses, some of the businesses hired them back, or offered them jobs afterwards. And they also did a senior reality check. So the senior class for the entire day was like a PD day for them. And they had 8 30-minute sessions, and they taught them how to budget their money. They taught them like what to expect in college. They did CPR, credit card. They talked about credit cards, financial aid. They taught them how to grocery shop, like how to make meals. And, when you go to college, make cheap meals. Interviewing skills. They taught them how to do soft interviewing skills. Taught them self-care. And the favorite thing that the senior class liked was they liked to learn about how to do their own taxes, which I thought was pretty cool, was what their favorite thing was. So they did apply for some grants, state and local funding, and then they also applied for some federal grants to make this possible. JET grant, a Perkins Reserve grant, and some partnerships in the community and donations. So the other one I went to, and the only reason I'm doing this is because it's a school board. So this girl that presented was a junior, and she was in Portland, Oregon as well. And she spoke so well that you would never think that she was a junior. I mean, she said she was a student liaison to the school board, but they have a really big school district, 44,000 kids, just saying. But she was their student council representative. But they hold a day where they get to ask the board questions. Like there's things that go on in the school that we make decisions as adults, right? And kids are like, what do you mean? What happened? And no one ever gives them an explanation. It's like, this is just the way that it is. So this day gives them an opportunity to come and talk to the school board and ask, why did you make that decision? And it gives the school board, they get to see and meet who the school board is. They get to know who they are. And this girl said, she goes, I went to one of these things and I was so mad about something and I asked the question, I got an explanation. She goes, and that's why I got involved in this. And now she's out there advocating for this. So I thought it was she was great. I would love to have, if she speaks, I would love to have her come here and speak because she was wonderful. And that's it. That's all I got. All right. I know this is a long one, sorry, guys. All right, now we're on to new business. I'm gonna drink the water first. We need election of the BOCES board member, Mark Mann. So, be it resolved that the Board of Education pass its vote for the election of Mr. Mark, oh wait, I need to make a I need a nomination. Joe nominates Mark, second. Margaret. Okay. I'll read it. Be it resolved, the Board of Education cast its vote for the election of Mr. Mark Mann, Rensselaer County, New York, as a member of the Board of Cooperative Education Services, Rensselaer, Columbia, Greene Counties. All right, all in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, now I need a nomination for Mary Moreau. I know I'm killing her name. Giroux. Motion. Kevin, second. Joe. Be it resolved, the Board of Education casts its vote for the election of Mrs. Mary Moreau Giroux, Rensselaer County, as a member of the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, Rensselaer, Columbia, Greene Counties. All in favor? Thank you. I need a nomination for BOCES board member Frank Wack. Wack? Oh, I'm sorry. Alicia? You might be right. Second? Heidi? All right. Be it resolved that the Board of Education passes vote for the election of Mr. Frank Wack, Rensselaer County, New York, as a member of the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, Rensselaer, Columbia, Greene Counties. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And now we're on to the BOCES administrative budget. Be it resolved that the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of Rensselaer, Columbia, and Greene Counties is authorized to expend the sum set forth in the 2024-25 tentative administrative budget document in the amount of $7,257,451. Can I have a motion, please? Joe, second. Kevin, any questions? All in favor? Ron?
I'm debating whether I want to practice civil disobedience.
Oh.
No.
Okay. We have a donation of string guitar from Greg Puccetti for the music department. Motion, please. Heidi, second. Alicia, any questions? I know we signed the thank you note. All in favor? Okay. Policies here, first read, the second read. We're voting on the second read. So can I have a motion for those policies? Kevin, second. Margaret, any questions? The only thing I have is, was 8414.5-E, was that left off last month or something?
When you guys looked at the transportation guide, that was the form you had.
I see, okay,
So
gotcha.
I thought you were giving me the form that we used.
Okay, yeah, we did that at the last meeting, okay. All in favor, sorry guys. All right, the independent auditors report, acceptance of the independent auditors report on the Chaponic Hill Central School District compliance with U.S. Office of Management and Budget, Circular A-133 Federal Programs Regulations completed by RBT CPAs LP for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Motion, please. Joe, second. Kevin? Any questions? All in favor? Good. Approval of 2 field trips. We have the FFA Club is going to the convention in Buffalo in May. And then we have a grade 11 trip to Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty on May 28th. Can I have a motion for those? Heidi? Kevin, second. Any questions? All in favor? Thanks. All right, we have surplus, authorization of the surplus of vehicle 129, a 2003 Chevy Suburban, and 245,604 miles. Motion, please. Alicia, second. Rick? Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Memorandum of agreement with the Taconic Hills, senior, is that senior? Support staff, sorry. Approval of memorandum of agreement with Taconic Hills Central School and the Taconic Hills Support Staff Association dated March 26, allowing mechanics to be offered to drive sports runs before turning to an internal contractor. External contractor, sorry. Motion, please, I'm having a rough time. Kevin, second. Heidi, any questions? All in favor? All right, so this one is the middle management. So this is approval of the memorandum of agreement with Taconic Hills Central School District and the Taconic Hills Middle Management Association, allowing members to a flex week, working 35 hours per week through any combination of work days without being required to use leave time.
I just want to clarify that that should say, and we'll adjust it, it should say only July and August. It's only for summer months.
So
after flex week, it'll say July and August.
Gotcha.
July and August.
Okay, no, sure. Okay, motion. Kev, second. Ron? Any questions? All in favor? All right, so now we need to talk about the tax levy. So I guess before we make a motion, we did have a budget workshop before that. So I guess based on, I mean, we were kind of all over the place with that. We were recommending 0.99 or any of those ranges around those numbers. So during the workshop, most of us like the 2.99. So does anyone want to discuss that before we make the motion? Is everyone comfortable with the 2.99, or can they accept the 2.99?
Why is everybody looking at me? Well, that's right. Now I remember. No, that's fine.
Well, the 299 is acceptable to me because we use surplus revenue that before the state takes it away.
Correct.
That's the main thing.
Well, all right. So, let me write this in. Is that what does anyone have any objections to that, I guess, is what I guess I'm asking for.
The map, not strong enough one to not.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, I gotta ask. All right, so it's going to be 2.99 for the 2024, 2025 tax levy. Joe, second. Alicia, so I'm gonna read this. So it's approval of the 2024-25 tax levy of 2.99% for a total levy of, $25,610,90. All right. Motion? Joe and Alicia, we got it. All in favor? All right. Sorry, Rob. Oh, yeah, you're the other end, right? Like two bookends. All right, so we have some propositions here. Elections of the school board.
They're all together,
I can do that all together? Thank you, Lord.
unless someone has something within them.
Okay, so I need a motion for the 2024, 2025 propositions that will be up. Kevin, second, and Joe. So we have the budget, obviously, the funding for the capital reserve, which is $3 million. Can't go up to, our cap is 10 million. Why do I keep saying 1,000? And then we have a capital improvement project, building and site improvements, and the purchase of the school vehicles and buses. Any questions? All right, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand. All right, next up is type 2 Security resolution. Do I have to read all of this?
No.
All right, so this is for the
This goes with the
auditorium.
capital project.
Okay, auditorium roofing and auditorium parapet reconstruction. Includes new flashing. This is stuff that Nick was talking to us about. He showed us all those nice pictures. So I need a motion. Alicia. Kevin, second. Any questions? All in favor? Oh, and the pool was the other piece. All right, now I need a property tax report card. I need approval of that. Motion, please. Margaret, second. Joe, any questions? All in favor? Okay. All right, so the personnel agenda is all of those, correct? 8 through, because, well, I'm just looking at the yellow, because that literacy. It is, yeah, they just brought it out. All right, so I need a motion on the personnel agenda. Alicia, second. Kevin. And guess we do have a retirement of a food service worker, Josephine Macchia. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. She's been here for over 25 years, or 25 years of service, almost. That's amazing. I wish her well in her future endeavors. Retirement's awesome. Maintenance worker, permanent worker, and a term teacher aide, Taylor Marks, and a field work observer. Is that like a student teacher?
Field work observer, is that?
Okay.
They come in to observe the classroom, they're not actually doing student teaching, that's what they do before.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. We have a substitute and then a volunteer, and he's gonna be a volunteer like classroom or?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody got questions on personnel? All right, all in favor? Thank you. Anybody for public forum number 2? All right, additional items to discuss. I only have one thing, and that's the superintendent evaluation. I know we had that little, I'm not even sure if we were trained or not. I didn't get much out of that, but anyway, only because I don't know if he's coming back, hopefully not, but yeah. But we do need to make an appointment in May because we need to complete that. Lynette did all the work. I went in there, so, it's only fair that we do our jobs and make sure that we get our evaluation done, so. Alexis, you set us up a date in May? All right, thank you. All right, now I need a motion to go into executive session to talk about negotiations. Yeah. Kevin, Alicia. Okay, thank you all for coming. Do you need me to sign your paper? Thank you for staying the whole time. Thank you for staying the whole time.
Yeah.